Okay, real quick, I wanted to show you some useful blues patterns that's real easy to move around. We're in the key of A, but I'm in open D tuning. Now, this might look real confusing at first, but let's think about this. What's in blue? That's going to be your 1 chord. In the key of A, that would be an A chord, more specifically an A7 chord. So just notes out of that A7 chord. What's in red? That's going to be your 4 chord. And what's in parentheses, that means that can work for the 1 chord or the 4 chord. So for example, if we just focus in on just this blue pattern here, forget about all the red. Remember, in parentheses, you can play that for the 1 chord or the 4 chord. So this 7th fret, that's our A chord, right? Root, 3rd, 5th, root. There's your flat 7 of the chord. Whole step behind the root. Now, if we take this same position here and play what's in red, this diagonal line, see that diagonal line right there? That's going to be for our D7 chord. Right? And that starts on the major 3rd of our D chord, the F sharp notes. We have F sharp, root note D, flat 7 C, and 5th A. F sharp, D, C, A. And here's an A too, octave up A. Now you might say, well, yeah, well, what do you play over the 5 chord? Keep this in mind. Whatever you're playing over the 4 chord, just move it up 2 frets, a whole step, and that'll work over your 5 chords. So if we have this diagonal pattern here, fret 4, 5, 6, 7, for the 5 chord, all you got to do is move that whole pattern up to start on your 6th fret. So that would be 6, 7, 8, 9. I didn't write it in because it might get a little bit too busy. It's really busy right now, but what I want you to focus on is this pattern right here. Forget about all this. See what's in blue, right? 5, go straight down 7, and then 5. And then see that diagonal line for the 4 chord. You want something for the 5, move the 4 chord up 2 frets. Okay, let's focus in now on this part of the fretboard. What's in blue? Let's start here on 1st string, 11th fret. That's a C sharp note, major 3rd of my A7 chord. In blue here, in parentheses in red, that means it works over the 1 chord or the 4 chord. That's an A note. The root note of our 1 chord or the 5th of our 4 chord. Now, these 2 notes are really nice, right? It's the flat 7 and the 5th, and you'll use those a lot because you can do things like walk it up. Tinglings, all that kind of stuff. And that's 10th fret, 2nd string, and 3rd string. What is that? That's the flat 7 and the 5th of my A chord. How do you get that from this pattern? All you got to think of is these 2 notes, 2nd string and 3rd string. You move it up a minor 3rd. A minor 3rd is 3 frets, not counting the fret you're on. So 1, 2, 3, and we're right there with those 2 notes stacked on top of each other. But this secondary pattern here in blue looks like that. And you can kind of see that little shape there that's happening. This shape, if you forget about that, that kind of looks like an L, right? You can look at that. And then this shape, I'm not sure what that looks like, but maybe the top of a house or something, you know, a rooftop, that kind of shape. Now, let's look at red right here. This red shape is the same shape as this blue shape because this is our D chord position there on our 12th fret. That's our root position for that D. And then let's focus in on this red shape here. That red shape is the same as the blue shape because that works for the 4 chord, just like that works over the 1 chord. How do we get to here? Let's focus in on strings 2 and 3 where we walk up. Remember, in parentheses, that works over the 1 chord or the 4 chord. 12th fret goes 1, 2, 3. And then that brings you into your secondary pattern, secondary shape right there. Now, in each pattern, the major 3rd is on your 3rd string as far as like the root position, right? Okay, now check this out. The major 3rd right here. Notice how right behind it is a red note. Well, when you're playing a blues, what happens when you go from a 1 chord to a 4 chord is, here's your major third of your 1 chord, the C sharp. When you go to your 4 chord, move that note back 1 fret, and that turns that major third of the 1 chord into, remember this is our root position of our 4 chord. Here's the root note of that 4. Go back 2 frets from the root, and that's the flat 7. So if we go back 1 fret with the major third of the 1 chord, it becomes the flat 7 of our 4 chord. Now, that same rule that I said earlier, where if you want the 5 chord, just take whatever you played on the 4 chord and move it up 2 frets. So this note here, if we move that note to there, that is going to be the flat 7 of our 5 chord, because here's our 4 chord, 12th fret, a D chord in the key of A, that's the 4 chord. 14th fret is going to be an E chord, and that's the 5 chord in the key of A. So like I said, I didn't write out the 5 because then it would kind of distract from all the other patterns. Let me play along with a jam track just to show you what these patterns sound like. So something kind of like that. So sometimes I might go outside of the pattern, but what you can do is you can pick notes out of here. Like for example, like say if we pick 3 notes out of this pattern here, maybe I pick 3rd string, 2nd string, and then 2nd string, 10th fret, right? So 7th fret, 7th fret, 3rd string, 2nd string. So when I move from this note to this note, you don't have to go, right? You can walk up to that chromatically, and it actually sounds really cool. Right? And then let's say maybe instead of going to this note, I do a bigger leap. I go 2nd string to 4th string to end my phrase. Right, that kind of an idea. Right, and so let's say here's my root. Instead of just going back to the flat 7, well, I got this note here, a little passing tone there. So I can just walk that down instead of just going like that. I can use those frets that aren't part of the pattern, aren't part of the chord, let's say, as passing tones. And it makes a lot of sense when you see it like this, actually. You know, so, and you don't always have to do all the chromatics. You can, so instead of maybe hitting this note, maybe I come into it from that note. So maybe instead of just coming up this pattern, maybe I walk into it, right? Two notes behind it. Then you start coming up with some lines without knowing you don't have to know a ton of stuff, but you see some of these patterns and you see how the notes go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, and you just think, well, I'm on the 1 chord. I can kind of dance around these notes. If I want to go from that one to that one, maybe I put a passing tone. If I want to go from here to here, maybe I put all those passing tones in there and try to make it work rhythmically. Maybe I want to go from this note all the way to that note in blue. Maybe, you can just kind of noodle around and come up with lines, but at least when you have a little pattern in your head like this, you can noodle around with it to get from point A to point B and put some chromatics in there to suit your taste, whatever you think sounds good. Okay, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and I'll go ahead and put the jam track up on my site. For all the members of my site, lwtstreaming.com, also lessonswithtroy.com takes you there, and you can jam along with this jam track for all my members. Okay, we'll see you on the next lesson, guys. Thanks so much. Talk to you later.